Hello everyone, welcome back again to our YouTube channel Programmer's Choice. Now let us dive deep into towards a different topic, which is states. Now you must be thinking what is states and why we need it. Well, before that let me give you quick idea what the structure currently is. So what I did is I deleted everything in CSS, I recreated the React tab and then I removed all the unwanted files as well as their import. The next thing I did is inside my app.js, I removed that unwanted code and I'm adding a h1 tag. And also I have cleared app.css and have done some basic CSS that we are going to work on. My quick advice will be you should copy the CSS code, or if you are not using CSS, things will work fine. Our main focus is on React, but the look is quite different. For example, here I have added some CSS for box or something like button. So I need some specific color for some certain buttons. Since I'm recording a video, I'm recording a tutorial, I want the demonstration to be good. If you are just doing normal practice, you can skip this CSS part. You can focus on JavaScript part. But it's a good habit. But it's a good habit to have this CSS so that your project is more presentable. I'm going to write more CSS when we are moving forward. But now we are having a simple CSS. And here I have changed the font family and margin and padding should be 0. So for now that's it. Let's focus on state, what it is and why we need it. Well, let's create a simple application. Maybe we want to work on a counter application. That means I have two buttons. If I press plus or something like add, I should increase the count. If I have a second button, that is subtract or something like minus, I should decrease the count. So the flow should be simple. I'm going to create a variable something like count and assign a default value as 0 and then keep updating that count. I guess that should be working fine. Let's understand it. So let's create a simple application, find out the problem, and then understand how state is going to work. Right now, you don't need to understand what a state is, just understand the problem we are going to face, and then state is going to be our solution for that problem. Okay. So inside my function, before the return, I can write my JavaScript code, and this is my JSX. Remember, if I need to write JavaScript here, if you remember dynamic expression, I need to use that. But here I can write my JavaScript. Remember one point, this is a component and everything should be inside here. Like you can have import on the top, but you cannot write in JavaScript code. Either you create a function and then use that, but other than that, do everything inside this component itself. So you can have a different component, maybe have some header, footer, but do everything inside your component. Code block of that component is this. Great. Let me create that variable now. Let's say, I'm going to say count and I'm going to stop my counter at 0. Awesome. And I'm going to create that counter. I'm creating a div having class name as box. So we have this div and we want some certain stuff inside it. And first thing I need to do is I need to present this count. That means I need to display this count. So I'm simply going to have a p tag And here I can use my dynamic expression and I can say count. Let me save this one. Let me go to the browser. So let's see the output. So yes, it is working fine. Now, now let me add a button so we can have an option to add and as well as subtract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a button. Let's say add. Let me order class name so we can differentiate it. Let's going to be add, and I'm going to have a button. Let's say subtract, and I'm going to have a class name. Let me save this one. Get back here. Oh, that is awesome. Currently, they are not going to do anything. Now, what my task is, I want to update the value for this particular count. So that means I need to add some functionality, or I should say a listener, or I should say event. So I can have on click. When I click on this button, the count is increased to +1, and then this should be updated. So let's do that. Here I can pass a function that can be executed. There are multiple ways we can pass a function. But first, let me create that function. And I'll add something like this. And what this is going to do is it is going to update the count with +1. So I can say count plus equals to 1. And that should work fine. And I can execute this particular function. Now there are multiple ways by which we can pass this. Remember, if you are going to directly pass this function like this, that means it is going to execute on the loading time itself. So we don't need to pass this open and closing bracket. That means I don't need to do that. So that means it will be executed when we click. If I say this, it will execute on render itself. That means we are directly calling this function. So remember this point. This is the first method. The other will be anonymous function. That means we can have open and closing parenthesis, and here I can define the function count plus 1. This can be done the other way, anonymous function. Now remember, this is a single line function here. This is going to be a return, and this is a executed only when we click. Remember this point. Indirectly we are mentioning the arrow function here, and otherwise we are just passing the function reference here. Awesome. That is the first step. Let me try to do console as well. Awesome. Let me save. Get here. Right click. Click on inspect. Get into my console. Clear everything. So why? What if I click on add? You can say it is 1 right now. The count is 1. Click on add again. Click on add again. Clicking again and again. Now my count is increasing. Basically, I started with 0 and I'm currently at 9. My count is increasing, but my this is not updating. So the result is here, but how I am going to re-render this? How I am going to update this? Well, that is the where the state comes into picture. I know I am going to sound a different version, but state is the current value of that particular variable. If I say what is your current state in life, maybe if I talk about your mood, you can say, okay, it's boring or something related to happening or something related to figuring out the self. So there can be multiple states for us as well. Similarly, we are going to have states for our variable. and it is going to keep changing. I know this is a bad example, but remember it is easy to figure out things when we take some real life examples. So what I mean to say is that our variable state can change. Now what I want to refer here is that we have this particular variable count and the value is going to increase, value is going to decrease. So that means it is changing constantly. So here the state of this particular variable is changing. So does we need to update all the elements that use it. If I say count is updated, I need to update this particular paragraph itself. If I say it is increase, I need to show the increase updated version. If I say it is decrease, I need to show the updated version decrease. That means that state is going to change for this paragraph as well because the value is changed. So I hope you got the idea what I want to say and what the problem we are going to solve. In simple words, we are going to have different variables, or I should say states. We are going to have some certain values that are going to change, and instead of re-rendering the components, everything we have option to re-render our required field. Okay, now we understood the problem, and in the next lecture we'll figure out the solution for this, which is basically a use state. What is this and how this is going to work, we will see in the next lecture. Thank you guys.